Hello, welcome to the Late Night Lounge here on Latte Firm Friday, the 25th of July. Another week goes by and the transfer news just keeps simmering on and on. Welcome to one and all. Welcome to the firm. If you're tuning in for the first time, please do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and get involved in the chat. And that's where we're going to head first. This is the Late Night Lounge for anybody tuning in for the first time. If you've been watching the Daily Grinds, the Friday Night Lounge is basically chill time. We're going to talk about all sorts of things, Arsenal. We'll take all your questions. We'll take as many chats as we can, of course. Super chats gratefully received as well. Thanks in advance for any that come through tonight. And of course, I've got two gargantuan panelists. You guys know the drill. Let's go straight to the chat. Tamina Ahmed was waiting first in tonight's show. Gyokeres getting the number 14 shirt at Arsenal Football Club. Confirmed, she says. David Ornstein breaking that news earlier this morning. And that brought a real nice tear to my eye, and I shall explain why later. DJ D10, welcome to the show. Good evening, FK and the gang. Richard Barrow's excited, says, Eze is coming. Jimmy H32, welcome. Good evening, he says. What else does he say? He says lots of things. Gyokeres landed already on his way to the Emirates. I wonder if he's on his way to London Colney. Maybe the Emirates. Who knows? Apparently, he's going out to Singapore as soon as any sort of medical and contract is all signed and done, sealed and delivered. Cannot wait. Amazing. The fans are stalking this from the moment he landed to even the car registration that he is traveling in. Well, Arsenal fans know how to do that best. He also goes on to do his snack check, my sweets of choice tonight, the new Haribo Nostalgics, and a good share size of new Doritos. New Doritos vinegar, maybe, potentially. I'm not sure. Let me know. Cy Walder, welcome to the show. Says Naga chicken on the stove, 45 minutes to go. Love that. DJ D10 following up saying it's important to point out that you should switch from that top chat to live chat or else you really miss out. Not a fan of this feature by YouTube. You have to do this every single time. I have no idea what we're talking about, DJ D10, but I'm hoping that means a lot more to the watching viewers. Do change whatever you have to do to make sure that you are more prominent, more noticed. My apologies, I've not changed anything from my end. V Vlad, welcome to the show. Good evening, gents. Feels good to finally have our hitman. Dave's in the house, which is great to see as well. Asheen's in the house. Metro is here. Sensations Poppadoms, he says. Mango and red chili chutney for my snack check tonight. Elite. Let's bring in Wayne Bellet. Wayne, your boy. Metro Christophe. Look at how handsome he looks. Look at his little profile picture.
I was just with him like 10, 20 minutes ago.
He's just following me. Eating by any chance? And now he's snacking?
No, we were recording for Can You Believe It? But yeah, why is he following me for?
I love it. Metro, welcome to the show. It's great to see you in the chat, man. Must have you back on at some point soon as well. Karen says, good evening. Hope everyone is well. Paul James is here. Evening all. Good transfer window so far. We need at least one more left-sided attacker. Eze is the news, Wayne. Mig Delaney has also just talked about it very shortly ago. Arsenal are very keen on Eze. We know that Arteta is obsessed with Eze, according to Hand of Arsenal. Let's see if we can, maybe let go of one or two and do this before the window shuts. El Perdedor is in the house. Trevor Bibbins is in the house. Look, keep the chat active. Really, really appreciate all of you joining. And there are hundreds watching on YouTube already. Please do like a video, subscribe to the channel, and who knows, we might actually hit 25,000 subs tonight because we are so close. Wayne, how have you been? How's your week?
All good. I was obviously
you're looking trim. I gotta say.
It's crazy what a haircut can do to a person. You wouldn't know.
A fresh buff.
But no, I'm a bit upset with you and very upset with Yem for allowing it to happen. Because obviously I weren't here last week because I was at a wedding. One of my really, really good friends from uni. It was beautiful to be there. But I jumped in to say hello. I wanted to start the show and hear what you had to say for yourself. Mm-hmm. You ate a protein bar as your snack check.
Let me
I've not been happy with you since then.
These have been on my floor ever since. This is fulfill chocolate hazelnut whip. There is nothing good about them. I was so annoyed and indignant as a consumer. I wrote to Amazon to say, I don't know how you sell these things. They are tragic. They are tasteless. They are not good for you. And they said to me, Mr. Khan, dispose of the box and we'll give you a refund. How about that?
I'm still not. I don't care. I'm still not happy with you.
Sarah, that's my wife's fault. But how are you? You good? Otherwise,
yeah, man, all good. Can't complain. Can't complain.
Good. Whole milk is in the house. It's evening. Loads of people just shouting, hello, welcome, evening. El Perdedor's gone early. Snack check tonight is fresh cherries. That is elite, Fruit. Fresh cherries. I love it.
Especially during summer, man. Especially during summer.
Yeah, I know. And you got strawberries as well this time of year. Fabulous. AFC 777 says celebratory snack, Glock 14 salted caramel ice cream. Oh, I love it. Oh, this is another one. Cold watermelon. And you know what? With feta. This guy.
Oh, that's nice.
I knows food. What a combination. And you know what? With a little bit of red onion and some salad. Whoa, what a combination that is. Welcome to the show, Wayne.
I reckon we should lower the tone now.
I think we should. Let's lower the tone because we're on a really hot roll here. By the way, DJ D10 says, Wayne, you look healthy and happy. Do you know what, DJ D10? I did say to him, yeah, he's trimmed up. Nice.
I'm telling you, man.
He looks homeless most weeks, but this guy...
it's a haircut. I might have to visit my barber more regularly than once every 3 months.
Well, let's lower the tone. We've got 2 fine studs in the house at the moment, and let's bring in the leveler. Yembele, there he is. How are you, sir?
You people don't appreciate the levels that I bring to this place. I bring this place up levels above what you, and obviously, indignant is the word I'd use right now. I'm an indignant person right now.
Oh, well, how are you, Yembele? Welcome back.
Indignant again.
No. Aside from the insults tonight, have you had a good week? How have you been?
Yeah, it's been a good week. It's just been busy because obviously the little one is off school at the moment, and that is every day is like, can we do something? What are we doing today? Is something going on? Are we going to do something? What's happening today? Today was going to do some paint shopping for her room, so she's getting her room painted, and some garden stuff. So we were out and about today, just doing all that and starting to clean her room out to get ready for a fresh coat of paint tomorrow morning.
Nice. So basically, you did your errands and you dragged her along with you, trying to make it sound fun.
No, we all did. All the family. It was all the family actually. All the family actually today. So yeah, it's been
where did you go for lunch?
We got. Oh no. So my mum has got some of my relatives around, and because my relatives didn't want any rice and all that. Typically, it's rice. So Faisal will know this. It's my borofufi. My borofufi's arrived. So you've seen her a number of times. But because she didn't want any Bengali food, because she's had quite a lot of it, she said, can we have something different? So my mum got Turkish. And then I had to go and get it for her because it's quite far out, because the one she likes is quite far out. And she said, Yem, why don't you get something nice for yourself? And I said, oh, Mum, I love you so much. And so she she bought us a mixed kebab, some grilled sea bass. Honestly, lunch was top tier today. And then for dinner, Faisal, because you're going to love this one.
With grilled sea bass.
I didn't have the grilled sea bass. Please, I have standards.
Okay.
I had the mixed kebab, obviously. My dinner was the karahi chicken and some beans bhaji. Oof.
That is nice. Yembele's mum's karahi chicken is absolutely sensational. Jimmy H32 says, love the snack check, a reason to bring stuff home from the shops. And when the wife asks you what it is, it's just a simple snack check. I love that. Tise4422 says, Latte Firm, live from Kansas City, where a 4th season of Ted Lasso is currently being filmed. What's this about Gabriel Jesus? We will talk about that shortly. Ricardo Muniz, says chicken patty, Sam Haribo's, Gyokeres done, Eze hopefully soon on the way. Life is good. And of course, you're tuning in to Latte Firm, which is fantastic. What a way to end the week. AP says Wayne is not looking lost today. How did he find his way to the barbers? Mate, you and me both. Honestly, this is a good look, Wayne. Please try and maintain this as your standards, because most weeks it's hashtag homeless. Albrecht says, good evening all. We'll be at the under-21s game tomorrow in Vienna up the Arsenal. Enjoy that tomorrow. And 11-11, you are reading into the future. Saliba, new deal incoming. Well, talking of Saliba, we're going to talk about tonight Christhian Mosquera. Is he the succession plan? Is he the next Saliba? Is he the next beast in our Ministry of Defence? We're going to take a deep dive into the young man. We'll talk about Gyokeres joining the club and taking the number 14 shirt, demanding the number 14 shirt and wanting to take on that crown. We'll also look at what else we can look at. What did we just talk about before we came on air? We'll talk about the transfer window, of course, because we've spent a lot of money. Isak wants to leave Newcastle, and I'm sure Wayne has some words on that. And then we'll talk about Newcastle United, because that is a fixture that is coming up on Sunday. That's quite timely, that. You're getting a lot of love. Look at this. Wayne looking clean. Wayne's just looking. Wayne is just
looking.
Looking. FK is still chewing since last week. I know, mate. That was absolutely terrible. And did Yembele recommend me the protein bar? Do you know what? No,
Yeah,
he
did.
didn't, sadly.
Yeah, he did.
I was gonna throw him under the bus and be like, Yembele, it's all your fault. Right, let's get the snack check done out of the way. Let's go with you, Yembele. What you got for us tonight, big man?
You know what I got, because I sent you a picture earlier on, and you failed your end of the bargain.
My phone is buggered, man. I've got an iPhone 10 and it's like dying. What iPhone are we at now? 19, 21?
16.
What did you say?
16.
Okay, yeah, so I'm some way behind. But what have you got for us tonight? Because the nation will be delighted, I'm sure.
So we're running with an Arsenal theme as well. So we got the Declan Rice.
Oh yeah! Hang on, zoom into the camera. What flavour? What are we talking about?
It is a raspberry and white chocolate.
Raspberry and white chocolate. Yembele, come on. Tear it open.
Yes.
Get involved, son.
Let me have a
hang on, so it's raspberry flavoured yogurt, you would imagine, with... Hang on, close to the camera. Whoa, make sure it doesn't pour
Don't tip it out.
I'll try my best not to.
It looks messy.
It looks very interesting texture, I would say.
Have a little spoon. Wayne Bellet, what you got for us while we enjoy Yembele's facial expressions?
As I disappeared last week, I've come back with the classic, the original, the OG, the first thing I put you on to, FK. I don't want to spill. I don't want it to drop off the plate. The crackers and cheese.
Oh,
with crackers and cheese. Yeah, with butter.
Oh, yeah. my man. Do you know what, ladies and gents, boys and girls, if you ever have crackers, Wayne said to me once, do you have butter on your crackers? And I was like, are you taking the mick? But it's a game changer. Let me tell you, it is now pure heritage. Yemba Jemba says, Henke Ho, let's go to a live face view of Yem. What are you saying, Yem? He's not impressed.
No. Give me another minute. I just need to just let it sit for a bit.
He needs to finish it first.
We're live on air. We don't have a minute, mate. We've got to move on with content.
Do you know what? I like it. I actually like it. I don't get much of the white chocolate.
You're not convincing us.
No. I don't get anything of the white. I don't get much of the white chocolate. The raspberry is there in spades. Really nice. Okay. It's nice. Quite like it. Yeah, it's nice.
And also because he's convincing himself, isn't he, Wayne?
No. It's not like mind blowing or anything like that. And I don't. Declan, definitely stick to your day jobs. That's a
Please stick to your day job, Declan, because we don't need you advertising food products when you can be paying for the mighty ass.
Do you know what it does really well? What's doing really well? As you go further on, it gets more intense, the raspberry. That's actually quite nice. I quite like that, actually.
You're probably supposed to mix it, but yeah. Anyway.
I mixed it, but obviously...
Enjoy it, my friend. Enjoy. Paul James says, tonight's snack check is chocolate orange and cherry Lucozade. Chocolate orange and cherry Lucozade. Can't be having cherry Lucozade as a fizzy drink washing down chocolate orange, surely.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Not keen on that. Donald says he's asking what M&S snacks have you got this evening, Jembele, but I think he's gone to Sainsbury's and he's gone out and got his Declan Rice. Facts About Nothing just says hello. Welcome to you, my friend. Donald's giving you the thumbs up on the old grilled sea bass, although he didn't have it, to be fair. Risat Faisal, I can vouch for that. Faisal, that's a great name, says, oof, I miss Bengali food so much. Yeah, we are so lucky. DJ D10 says, I love these Friday shows, energetic and upbeat. Thank you, DJ T10. And thank you so much for everybody making the time to tune in on a Friday night. It really is a pleasure to have you guys. The Daily Grind's a very different show. They've been flying off the shelf this week. Really, really popular. I hope you guys have been appreciating the different guests and the different content, the different topics. Lots more to come. We've got Arsblog coming soon. Adrian Clark coming soon. Tim Stillman coming soon. We're going to have Mick Delaney, Henry Winter. We've got some big names coming up over the next few weeks to talk about all things Arsenal and, of course, little old me when we take your questions as well. So do stay tuned and do subscribe and do support the channel. Mike says, Snack Check brought this elite Italian candy back from Napoli called Frutella Ghiucci Frizz.
I'll tell you who is enjoying Napoli at the moment. Kevin De Bruyne. Have you seen the latest footage of him? Enjoying that pasta a bit too much, old Kevin.
Oh, really?
A bit.
Oh, really?
He's filled out a little bit.
Well, let me tell you who's
they don't give
food
like that in Manchester. They don't give food like that.
Well, let me tell you who's ripping things up in Naples. Scott McSauce, Scott McDominate. I tell you what, Ballon d'Or incoming next season. Let me tell you that. Oshin says he's having pasta with peppery creme fraiche sauce, oyster mushrooms, and broccoli. Sheen, you are cultured, my friend. You are really bringing the best out of all of us.
What you got tonight, FK?
I've got a delicious snack, but just 1 second. 433 says apparently Palace have rejected 50 million plus Nelson. That is, of course, the news that is going to come out tonight. But we shall watch that with excitement. Let's say. So what have I got tonight? So obviously Mbele very kindly sent me a picture saying, "Look, I'm going to get you one. FK, come around and pick it up at some point." Got carried over with the family. The kids been out with the kids all day, and then we had swimming in the evening, and obviously treat night. So the kids have to have their fried chicken because they love it after swimming. So tonight I have these. These, ladies and gents, are absolutely extraordinary. Classic double chocolate wafers. They're so good. And they're very dangerous because you can really plow through these and they're not very good for you as per. So I'm going to tuck into that. A super chat has just caught my eye. It is Assad. Welcome again to the show. And thank you so much for your very kind generosity to the channel. It's appreciated, man. You're doing this quite regularly. And honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It says, if we sign Eze, I'm taking the three of you out to a swanky place in London. It's a promise. Are you just going to take us to a swanky place? You're not going to feed us? You're not going to seduce us, wine us and dine us? But no, I think that's exactly what he means. Assad, thank you so much for tuning in. Eze, listen, I WhatsApped you earlier. I think it's on. Oh, Wayne, is that flavored water? Thank goodness.
No, it was not mine, but it's just plain water now.
Yeah, I can't. People, flavored water is not a thing. Come on. FK says, AP says FK is finally grinding. Scott McSauce will never have to buy the most elite pizzas ever again. No, he won't. He's probably got freedom of the town, freedom of the city, whatever it means. Right. Keep your comments coming. Sia, you must be new around here. Says, geez, enough snack chat already. It's what we do. The first 15 minutes is just messing about. Now we're about to tuck into the gargantuan content, and you've probably just dipped off as well. So you're going to miss out. But hopefully you're still here. Hopefully you're still going to enjoy it. Right, gents, lots to get through today. And we're going to talk about the signing that has come out of the blue, Christhian Mosquera. And to be fair, to do it justice, I thought I'd use the picture that was leaked as part of his official reveal. There he is on the right-hand side, looking very, very serious. Chat, I'll come to you with some live polls in a second. But general feelings about this, Wayne, let's start with you. A young defender who's been ever-present over the last couple of years, playing in La Liga, brought as an addition to the collection of defenders that we got, rather than competition to be a starter, you would imagine.
Yeah. First of all, for you to say he's come out of the blue, obviously a bit tongue-in-cheek there, because I feel like he's been with us for weeks now. Obviously, the picture was leaked when it's calling him Madueke. We saw him at Heathrow Airport or wherever it was, waiting for his plane to Singapore. I don't know why or how Arsenal didn't charter him a flight, but yeah, you just saw him in Terminal 2 or whatever it was, and just chilling there, relaxing. We then saw him link up with the Spanish guys before he was announced. We saw him talking to the fans before he was announced. We even saw him ride a roller coaster before he was announced. That image was just brilliant.
It's very good, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm glad that they're all sort of bonding, which is fantastic. But no, I'm really happy with this deal, mainly because it means for the first time in 3 years now, William Saliba doesn't have to play 55 games a season. And I think someone in this chat like 3 or 4 weeks ago put it best, but they were talking about Madueke. The signing of Madueke means doesn't need to be someone that's better than Saka, but it means that you get the best out of Saka. The signing of Mosquera means you can get the best out of Saliba, not only from a competition perspective, but them games where his back is hurting a little bit, those games where the thigh or the hamstring isn't 100%. You've now got someone who, when you look at him, is physically imposing. He looks dominant. All of the numbers that we've sort of seen in his duels, and we know how much Arteta loves that, they all look physically ready and prepared for the Premier League. And I think when you look at a team or a club that's selling a player, you always kind of look at their fans and you look at the club's reaction to the fact that that player is being sold. Valencia are bitter about it. I don't know if either of you have seen the statement or the comments that they put out with Mosquera leaving. They are hurt by it, and that's always to me kind of like a sign of a good player, because they didn't want to let him go, but as they put in their statement, they were pretty much forced to. So, look, I'm not expecting him to become the world's best defender this season, but what I am expecting him to do is allow the world's best defender to get a breather. And settle into our team in sort of domestic cup competitions, in the odd game here or there in the Premier League. And I'm looking forward to it. The biggest thing that I'm actually looking forward to is those games where he partners Kiwior as the rotation centre-back pairing. And the reason for that is because Kiwior's really good, and we saw it in the pre-season game we'll talk about a little bit later, and we saw it at the end of last season, but he's not that physically dominant defender. Mosquera looks like he is. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing his debut at the weekend during pre-season.
Well, we'll take a look at some of his positional maps and some of his sort of stats and stuff that I've scoured off the internet. I've been spending a lot of time watching compilations and watching some footage of him. He's a very, very exciting prospect. I mean, AP says, by the way, anyone seen Mikel tapping up his brother? Yeah, when he was asking his brother to sit down and do the contract signing as a photo, as a memoir, and he said that his brother's really good, younger brother. Archie also shouting out Christian's dad, who was in tears. Another family member in tears of a player for signing for the Arsenal, which is amazing. And DJ D10 says, extremely promising player for a very low fee. That's right. We were in, of course, for Dean Howson. We were, really sort of serious on him. And then, of course, got away from Jarell Hato was another player that we've been in for. But this guy, £13 million plus add-ons, could be an absolute steal. Yembele. We know that he's a very young defender, 20 years of age. He's been playing, doing his stuff in Spain for Valencia, and he's been ever present. This is the first stat that I want to look at. One of the biggest pluses about him, he has played more minutes than any youngster in Europe's top 5 leagues over the last couple of seasons. Look at Garnacho there, just number 2, just FYI. But ever present, and that's a lot of football for a young defender. Yem, how's the signing grabbed you? And tell us about what you see on screen. You're on mute, Yem.
It happens once every
week, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. Go on.
No, this one's it just reminds me of me and Wayne discussed this a while back about the old Wenger signings. The gems that you get, those ones that were done for a nice price. And that you can see developing, you can see the talent there, and it's more about now developing the player into whatever we need it to. And this is definitely the case. He's got the raw ingredients, he's had the time, and obviously now he's with one of the elite coaches. You hope to see his game develop. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy about the fee. I'm really happy about the desire to come. This is what's really impressed me about this window. The players who we are signing, and obviously we'll talk about the other one. Their desire to join Arsenal and the will to join Arsenal, has really helped with the fee, with the financials as well. And, you can't help but applaud that. And I think, as Wayne said, he's got, he looks physically imposing. He looks like he's kind of a good complement to Jakub Kiwior. But he's also very, he's come from a league where, passing and being on the ball is, a requirement. So I'm looking forward to seeing his on-the-ball play, how he improves. If you look at Saliba when he came, he was quite raw, and it took 2 seasons, on loan and a further season to come good. The key thing here for this season is that he needs minutes. I don't want to have this kind of Kiwior situation where, only an injury, a long-term injury, will force him to get, good minutes. He needs decent minutes, and I'm not saying every game, and obviously he doesn't need to be, in the Champions League games, etc. But he does need to be in those kind of games where we would expect, Saliba to get a rest. The Carabao Cup games, some of the Premier League games, all of these kind of things. I just don't want him to come in cold again, because look what Kiwior only started to show his true potential after he got extended minutes, and he needs that. And we now know his ability. Mosquera will need that as well, because you look at the chart that you pulled up. He's had good amount of minutes, but in order to keep the pace of his development, he needs minutes. So Arteta, again, and I keep reiterating it, will need to be better at rotating his players, being trustworthy of those players that he's bought. The Mosqueras, the Noni Maduekes, these guys. You trust your squad and play them in games, and not just when someone's got injured. So looking forward to seeing it. I'm really happy with this. Again, I think it's such a good signing. If you look at our defensive unit, it's really solid now. And the only thing we can hope is obviously that we don't get injuries that decimate the unit, because even last season we still had a good unit. It's just that the injuries absolutely decimated it. But I'm really excited. I hope maybe in the Newcastle game we'll see Mosquera and Kivior, because I would, like Wayne said, Kivior is such a good technical player when he can be, but Mosquera is a physical beast, and I want to see that combination and hopefully see it develop through the season.
Well, DFC says we are massive, and that was actually a comment from a long while ago. But I picked it specifically because Mosquera is quite a big lad. He's just taller than 6'3". Mikel knows exactly what he's doing. You talk about him being a physical beast. I think Dave said it just a few moments ago. Once he's added a bit of muscle mass, because he's still a young boy, 20 years of age. You can really physically continue to grow at that sort of age, and he's going to come in and he's going to train alongside the likes of Gabriel Magalhaes and Calafiori and Saliba, and he's only going to get better. But it's rare to find a 20-year-old centre-back who's played 2 full seasons in the top flight and at such a competitive league in La Liga. So really, really pleasing to see, ever present for Valencia, and of course now recognised at Spanish youth levels as well. Let's talk about some of his sort of playing traits. Position map, first of all. Wayne spent 48% of his time over the last 2 years as right centre-back, left centre-back 37% of his time, and has played even a short stint at right-back over the last couple of seasons. Where do you expect him to play and to kind of eventually settle? Or could this guy be I'm showing my age here, but could he be our sort of, John O'Shea, Gilles Gramondi, sort of, floating sort of player across the back four, comfortable in any position?
The way that the team and the squad is kind of built up right now, I imagine that he will mostly play at right centre back. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's all he plays this season, simply because you want him to get used to the country. You want him to get used to our style of play. You want him to get used to the team. And you want him to learn the language. I wouldn't throw him in at right centre back, left centre back, right back, and kind of scatter him all across, because he's still, like you said, a very young player. And although he's very young, he's quite experienced for his age. He's played for Valencia for a number of seasons now. He's done sort of good things with the Spanish under-21s team as well. So although he's got quality, it's a different, we always know it. We always say it's a different level coming to the Premier League. And I think the good thing and the positive thing is we don't have to rush him. We've got arguably the best centre-back pair in Europe. We've got one of the best defensive units as a whole, from 1 to 8 when you include all of our back four. So we don't have to force him to do anything fast. We don't have to rush him into starting minutes. But it will be good, as Yem said, to play him consistently or just keep him engaged throughout the season, because at the end of the day, I think that's been a big issue, not only of young players, but of experienced players of Arteta for a while. You can't just bring these players in when we've got a Champions League second leg and you don't want Saka to get injured. You need these players to be playing regularly so that they're not rusty and that they're engaged for when their numbers called. So, yeah, you don't have to rush him. Saliba's had a good bit of health now for a couple of seasons. But, yeah, this slotting him in at right centre back, assuming we don't sell Kivior, which I really hope that we don't at this point, because he's looking like he's coming into his own now and he's a player that I really, really like. Assuming we don't sell him and assuming we don't have any sort of injuries to Ben White or Timber like we had last season, right centre-back for me is where he'll play the majority of his minutes this season.
Yeah, and that's the sort of reason for the thumbnail title, succession planning. Obviously, we've got a contract situation with William Saliba. And even if William Saliba, as I fully expect him to sign a new contract, it's good to have that depth behind him. It's been mentioned already in tonight's show. Struggled towards the back end of last season without Gabriel Magalhaes. The season before, of course, without William Saliba. It's been difficult for us. So, stacking quality at the back, and of course Takahiro Tomiyasu, whose contract was very sadly mutually terminated. This guy adds that depth. Tease44422 says Mosquera can also play right back competently, not only can just play right back. Reese says he ain't no joke, this guy means serious business. And Lloyd complimenting us, 3 solid Arsenal fans talking about the club, love it. For me, for Mr. Arteta is smart. For me, Arteta is smart. He can see the vultures are circling around. £30 million for this boy. I think that versatility is going to be really important, and I can see him getting some game time this season. I think Jonathan Kay has been mentioning in the chat, Arteta has to learn to rotate better this season. He is building a deeper, wider, sort of more broader squad, and he needs to give players the right level of rest to keep them fresh and to keep them going for the duration of the season. Let's talk about, whether he could be the next Saliba, because this from Football Econ on socials, it's a chart that we've used before, but it's a phenomenal chart. And it basically rates him against all top central defenders across Europe's top leagues that have played at least 900 minutes. And you can, if you read the chart on the left-hand side, the higher you are, the more successful your tackle rate. And the further you are to the right, the fewer fouls that you commit. So as a clean and effective tackler, as per the chart, you can see where Christhian Mosquera plots, and that's as top right as you can pretty much get. He describes him as saying, look, he's not only a highly proactive defender, extremely clean, effective with his tackling. In fact, I think in his welcome sort of interview with Arsenal, he talked about hunger, but energy, but speed being his biggest strength. So that recovery pace, if you look at the heat maps that are floating around the internet, you'll see that he loves to play quite high up. In fact, I'll show you some progressive passes on the next slide. He plays quite high because he relies on his pace. He's a bit like, Saliba doesn't look like he can run really fast, but because he's got such a wide stride, and because he's just, once he starts galloping, he can really claw himself back. He plays so high up the pitch. This guy's got it. Wayne, when you see that on screen, this alone is enough reason to be really excited.
Yeah, defensively, I don't think anyone really has any issues with this signing at all. I think the biggest jump, and where he needs to, I guess, learn from the likes of Saliba, the likes of Gabriel, and where he can develop into that next Saliba, as we've called it here, is he needs to get quite better on the ball, especially in a team like ours who are dominant in possession, that build up from the back quite consistently. He's someone that, he's not bad on the ball by any stretch of the imagination, but at times he kind of rushes passes and then it goes to the opposition, or he's not as tidy or as sleek or as smooth with it as the likes of Saliba are. Look, Saliba wasn't as smooth as he is now when he first came.
It's taken him 6 years to get to this level, Saliba. Saliba's been at Arsenal for 6 years. Obviously he was at loan for a couple of them, but it has taken him time to reach this level of elite centre-backness.
Yeah, he went through multiple apprenticeships basically out on loan away from Arsenal, to the point where a lot of Arsenal fans didn't even think he had a career at the club. But then you also think about Gabriel, who has taken almost as long, but has been a first team member of the team. Gabriel on the ball now is fantastic. He was not this good when he first joined, and it's taken a lot of development. It's taken a lot of time. So I imagine that will be the case with Mosquera as well. But the real positive is that he looks, and we talk about this so often, especially with players that are coming from foreign leagues into the Premier League, he looks physically ready to handle the Premier League. He doesn't look like, and I think the biggest kind of concern, or the biggest negative with Kiwior, is he looks a bit lightweight sometimes. Yes, when he plays with confidence, he's fantastic, especially on the ball. But he looks a bit lightweight at times, and you kind of fear that across the ground, maybe he's not the quickest. Mosquera doesn't have either of those issues. Like, you wouldn't mind him going sort of shoulder to shoulder with Isak. You wouldn't mind him going shoulder to shoulder with someone like a Mikel Antonio, for example, if he's sort of healthy for a West Ham. Mosquera looks like he can handle that level of physicality, and he can handle that challenge. So I think defensively, we've got a really top draw young defender that we can mold into what we need. He just needs time on the ball and sort of develop with us in possession.
He does indeed. This has caught my eye. Red Bull vodka. Top left bloke, i.e. me. The Asian Sir Mark Trevor Phillips. Oh, wow. I even had to Google him. He's not far wrong, to be fair. Listen, I'm going to come to you in terms of passing in just a second, but look, a 20-year-old kid who's been ever present for the last couple of years, starting more games than any youngster in Europe's top 5 leagues. It's rare for a defender to play so many games at top flight. He's very two-footed. We can see that he's versatile position-wise. He can play right centre-back, left centre-back, can play on the right-hand side. Looks like his reading of the game is good. His recovery pace is fantastic. He's a clean and effective tackler. And he likes to play ball. Some of the compilations are only when a player touches the ball. And I've watched a few on socials. You don't get to see him off the ball. But he's got a really nice short to medium pass range. And actually, in fact, he reminds me a lot of Gabriel when he first joined us from Ligue 1. He loves to play progressive passes. So when you see this sort of chart, look, first of all, you can see where the starting positions are of the pass, and he's quite high up, which is great. But look at those balls down that left-hand side in particular, down the channel. Also, those switch balls out to the right-hand side. That is music to the ears of Gabby Martinelli and Bukayo Saka.
It is, but Arteta doesn't play that way. He plays the very short ball.
Maybe that's what he's going to do. I mean, Gabriel Magalhaes loves to ping a ball out, doesn't he?
He does, but it's very rare that we do that kind of pass. And I wish we did do it more often, as you said, Fies. But, again, he's got the raw elements. So it's in the locker. It's now if Mikel wants to use that. But I suspect he will fall into the system, as we call it. We've seen it already at the start of the preseason. It's still there, the system of we go from left to right, left to right, left to right. Maybe we're going to change that this season, but we're still in that kind of, the right centre-back will look to the right back and then obviously progress through to the right winger. So I expect Mikel will start working on that with him. And as Wayne said, although he's got a good passing, map, his, on the ball, there is still some concerns. He does rush passes and he does, when he's rushed, he can make a mistake. So it's more about giving him the confidence, looking at his body language as well. That's the big thing that changed with Saliba. Saliba was always very front-facing when he was passing. When he misplaced the passes, he was caught on the turn. That's what they want to avoid, obviously. So, I suspect, that Mikel and the team will, and the coaching team will start working on him with body positioning, etc. Because obviously, that's where the turnover happens with Arsenal. Typically, it's when we make a mistake. Very rarely is it the other team actually playing well. It's usually we make a misplaced pass or we make an error and the team are in. So I think it's a case of he's got all the raw attributes. He looks fantastic. He can run in, but he can track back really well, as Saliba does. It's now refining those elements that are going to help him with the progressive area, to get him passing well, to identify the areas, to get it quickly to Zubimendi, get it quickly to Ødegaard, get it quickly to Ben White or Timber, and progress them up the pitch. That's what Saliba and Gabriel are very good at. They do those passes out, but it's very rare. Typically what it is Gabriel and Saliba will say, hand it off quickly to someone else and then let them do the work so they can get ready for a potential track back. And that's absolutely fair. That's why they're the best defensive unit. And that's what I'm looking forward to as well. I want to see Kivior and Mosquera, Gabriel and Mosquera, even Saliba Mosquera, just to see how, working with those different defenders who are at the top, I include Kivior because Kivior's done so well in that second half of the season. I thought he did really well. And how he learns off them. It's a massive jump in terms of the quality he's going to play with and the quality he's going up against. So it's a big test for him. I'm really looking forward to seeing him against Newcastle. It's a shame Isak is not there because I would have loved to see how do you handle the elite forward? How, you've had a lot of minutes, but in Spain, there are only two to three teams who are elite. You're going to play against, strikers who are very clever, very clever with their movement and understanding you. So how do you adapt to that? That's the next stage of his development. That's what William Saliba learned. That's why he is at this level now, that he's, had multiple battles against the Haalands, against, the, Liverpool players. So he understands this. And that's what we're looking for with Mosquera. He needs the time. He needs the game time to be able to learn these bits and pieces. But I'm really excited about this deal. The price and the raw attributes, as you said, the passing here. It looks good, and I can't wait to see what he does for us.
Here's a question for you. Given you both talked about Kivior and Mosquera, who do you think is going to make more appearances in all competitions next season for Arsenal? I've just asked this to the viewers as well. Live chat on YouTube. Please do go and vote. Yem, you first.
Kivior. I think Kivior's reputation has come on leaps and bounds. I think there's a trust there from Mikel. It takes Mikel a little bit of time to get that trust. It usually is over a number of games where he goes, okay, I trust this guy now. And I think he's got that with Kivior because Kivior, has started to come out, as Wayne said, started to look very good. He's doing some, nice things. The crossing of it, his crossing, his positional awareness now is a lot better. I think Kivior will get probably more minutes because there is a level of trust there. But I'm hopeful, and I say hopeful, that this centre-back potential pairing will see more game time in Carabao Cups, lesser Champions League games, etc. That it almost becomes the B centre-back pairing. And I'm not saying that to be detrimental. I'm saying it's a switch out almost, that Gabriel Saliba, get them rested. There's a big game coming up. Let's switch it out to Mosquera and Kivior. Let them play together, get the understanding, and let them handle this game. That's what I'm hopeful of. But I think Kivior will still get more game time, personally.
I personally don't think that Arteta's going to rate them in pairs. I think it's going to be rotating one or the other, depending on sort of who we're playing and whatnot. I'm going to stick my head out and go against the grain, my neck out, sorry. And I think Mosquera is going to very quickly become our first choice backup to Saliba and Gabriel. I think Kivior's good. He came and did a great job. I'll be very open to maybe sort of moving him on, but you quickly realize just how big of the gap is between the ceiling, which is Saliba and Gabriel, and the floor. And I think there were games where Kivior was a little bit found out. Great pro. I think Mosquera is going to be a little bit better. I think Mosquera's recovery speed, he'll be able to diffuse sort of dangerous transitions, which is, of course, something that we're susceptible to because we play so high up the pitch. He will take time to adapt. You're playing in La Liga. The Spanish league tends to be obviously slower than the Premier League, and so he's going to take a bit of time to adapt to the intensity. Wayne, your thoughts? Who do you think is going to play more across all competitions, Mosquera or Kivior?
I think it'll be Kivior, but mainly because I think Calafiori will get injured at some point this season. So I think that Kivior will play minutes at both left centre-back and probably at left-back, because when Calafiori's out for sort of 4 to 6 weeks, we can't play Miles Lewis-Skelly for 10, 15 games in a row during like a busy period of the season. So I think Kivior will play minutes at both left-back and at left centre-back. One thing I will say, though, is I can't even sit here today and say I guarantee you that Kivior will be here beyond deadline day. Like, it doesn't look like right now he's got any sort of suitors, or it doesn't sound as though anyone's coming to sign him. But of all of the players that we could probably sell realistically this summer, and I hope we don't do it because, like I said, I'm a big fan of his, but he's the one on a decent wage that could bring us in a decent chunk of money. And normally the Arsenal way would be to make one of these sort of sales during the transfer window, especially when we're not really finished in sort of the attacking department. So yeah, I'll say Kivior for now, but I don't even know if he'll be here when the deadline's closed.
Lots of really interesting takes in the chat. Thank you for all your generous comments. By the way, more than 500 of you watching live on YouTube right now. Please do drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 25,000 subs. That is a milestone I've been itching to get to over the last few weeks and months. So thank you for all your support. Let's end the poll. The live viewers have now decided, and the outcome of the poll is as follows, ladies and gents, boys and girls. So who is going to make more appearances next season across all competitions, assuming obviously both are fit throughout? It's split. Jakub Kivior, 54%. Christhian Mosquera, 46%. That is what is happening there. So it's very, very split. People just can't tell. Let's move on to, I guess, the final thing on this defensive sort of segment. Mikel Arteta has built, and I've used this title before and I actually flipping love it, the Ministry of Defense. We are looking stacked, gents, and this is something that I'm super excited about because we want to be very difficult to beat, but now all of a sudden it feels like we've got a collection of players, and I know Zinchenko's not in there and he might still yet stick around. He's got a year to go on his contract and he's on a very, very high wage, and his family and his children are all settled in London. It's unlikely, I think, that he'll be moved on this summer, not for lack of trying. But we have a collection of players now. It bugs me that this image isn't in the order of right backs and left backs and centre backs, but just go with it. Arteta has built a collection of centre backs that hopefully will see us through across a range of competitions, Wayne. We've talked about the Carabobbins. We've talked about the FA Cup. We've talked about, obviously the Champions League was what we really wanted last year. But the Premier League is very much, an endurance sort of race. It's looking good.
It is, and I think it's looking good not only for the range of competitions that you said, it's looking good for the range of opponents that we face across the season. If you look at the way we played AC Milan during the pre-season game, look at how important Ben White was to our build-up, and look how good he was on the ball and in that relationship with Saka. I don't think that's something that Timber has yet, and that's not a criticism on Timber whatsoever. Both him and Ben White bring different things to that right-back position. And I think that when you're facing a team that is basically sort of backs against the wall, low blocks, at home, frustrating us, I think Ben White at right back probably suits a game like that a bit more than Timber does. But when you're going up against a Liverpool, a Manchester City, a Chelsea, whoever it is, where their left winger is going to be causing you trouble, you probably want Timber to be at right back because defensively he's a little bit more solid than Ben White. So yes, it's brilliant to hopefully challenge on all four fronts this season. And if when we're looking at the Carabao Cup, and I know that a lot of Arsenal fans have kind of looked down on that competition and just said, play the kids. No, this isn't a year to only play the kids. We've got 8 defenders. You need to use 4 of these guys in the Carabao Cup to keep the other guys fresh and mentally prepared for the Premier League. And then if a player comes in for a tough Carabao Cup game and they play well, there should be a conversation. Well, you really played well in that last game. You should be coming into the main Premier League lineup. Keep your form up and keeping all of these guys sort of fit and firing. So, yeah, I think that we've got a lot of options across the whole squad, particularly in defence. And I think that that's kind of what Arteta has built our base on ever since he came in. Like, he wants us to be solid defensively. He wants us to be sort of structured. And I just think the only concern I have there with that is Calafiori's injury history, because I feel as though he is one of those sort of maverick, chaotic defenders that does a lot for us going forward. But I think that you can overcome that with the likes of Timber potentially playing at left back. Miles Lewis-Skelly, he's broken through and looks like the best left back in the Premier League. So, yeah, it's looking good. And the good thing is all of these guys can defend. Like, we've had a quantity of defenders in the past, numbers-wise, but you bring them in and you're terrified. Whenever any attacker's kind of running at them or whenever the ball is coming to their feet, you're scared that they're going to touch it and they're going to let you down. I don't feel as any one of these defenders could come in now and I'd be confident. It doesn't matter who we're playing against. It doesn't matter where we're playing. I feel confident in any backline that we put out, and that's a real positive.
It is. Dave in the chat says, Calafiori looks like he's put on some muscle. His body looks stronger. Well, if you looked at the photo of them on the roller coaster, he looks terrified. Let me put it that way. Obviously, that's not a way to judge someone, but yeah, just tickle me with that. Yeah, I must be one of very few fans that thinks, you know what? If Zinchenko doesn't move on, that's not terrible. Let's just keep him as part of this defensive selection. He's obviously not going to be a first teamer, but he's a very different player to any of these guys on screen. I mean, he can't defend like any of these guys, but on the ball and in game situations, he could be a useful player to have on the bench. Look, before anyone misunderstands me, if someone comes in with an offer for real money, obviously I would let him go. But I'm not going to be upset if he sort of sticks around. So my question to you, Yem, is obviously, look, Zinchenko's still there. Ben White coming back is going to be massive. Rory and I talked about that last night on the Daily Grind, how good it was to see him against Milan. He was sensational, and now that's a real conundrum that Arteta has got at right back. You know, is it going to be White? Is it going to be Timber? Do you think we're missing anything, Yem, when you look at this group of players? Do you think there's anything else that if you know, money wasn't an issue and we had all the time in the world and no other priorities, could we still add something to this to really bolster it up, or are you stacked? Are you content?
No, I think this is our strongest area, as Wayne put it, in terms of the depth and the variation of the players that we have within the tactical area. This is the most stacked we've got. If you look at all of them, they've got you've got the 2 stalwarts in Gabriel Saliba, who are undoubtedly the first choice. You've then got your fullbacks who are exceptional. Either they can invert, or you've got an overlapping solution in that. You've got Miles Lewis-Skelly. You've got Ben White. It's the only area I will say that we do lack, and it's just one I've just thought of having talked about this, is an overlapping left back, and that's where Tierney was there. I know it's a bit sad, but an overlapping left back is probably the only area, because it just gives you that little something different. But Calafiori can do that. The only question is Calafiori doesn't do it on the regular, because Calafiori could go outside once and then go inside the other, can turn up on the right side of the pitch the next minute, and it's not consistent. Whereas like if you look at Nuno Mendes is consistently left wing, left back to left wing, doesn't really invert. And I think that's probably the only variation, but I don't think it's the biggest thing. I don't see him really pushing the boat out, because otherwise Kieran Tierney's departure would have been supplemented by someone else who could have played that left left wing back role. So it's the only piece, but that's a very minor piece considering the rest of the rest of this unit is pretty stacked height wise, strength, defensive nous. It's got the lot, and you've got great passing ability in a lot of the players, most of the players. I think it's if you look at it in European football, I think feel otherwise, guys. This is probably the best collectively defensive unit in the league in Europe for me. It just feels that way. You're on mute. You're on mute now. You're on mute.
Hey.
Hey.
I just thought, this guy's going on for ages, right? I'm not going to get a word in, so let me just put myself on mute while I pass a bit of wind. SJ says all our left backs are capable of overlapping, but Arteta doesn't want them to. That's an interesting take. But look, I think V Vlad has summed it up, and you've just mentioned it, Yembele, and he said, look, I just want to say, excuse me, I think this is the best defensive unit we've ever had. Even during peak Wenger, we never had this much quality. And somebody else mentioned it in the chat's just going too fast, but I love how different our wing-back options are. Like, Miles Lewis-Skelly is very different to Ricky Calafiori, who is very different to Zinchenko. Ben White and Jurriën Timber are two very, very different players. Ben White is phenomenal offensively. Jurriën Timber, he is the wall. No one's getting past him. And that is exciting because Mikel Arteta can change things up as long as they're all fit, depending on who we're playing and what the occasion might be. He can change things up depending on in-game scenarios and in-game sort of states of play. So having that tactical versatility, having the quality versatility, having the different sort of profile of player on the bench when they're all capable of defending and they're all ball players, all of them. I mean, look at the assist from Jakub Kiwior in the week to Bukayo Saka, that sort of curling ball from the left half space. Phenomenal. And all of these boys can play. All of these boys can play. It's super, super exciting. So I like what Arsenal have done defensively. Any further chats? Here we go. Ben White, Saka is him. I love this, by the way. Great profile picture. Says Ben White is great at overlapping, to be fair. He is. And it was so good to see him back against AC Milan. I think it was phenomenal. Really phenomenal performance from Ben White, which is fantastic. And the pace in that defense is insane. So much recovery speed. And again, it reinforces, I guess, Mikel Arteta's desire to play so high up the pitch. And that's why I think Mosquera is probably going to edge out Jakub Kiwior as that first choice centre-back in time. I have a feeling that that's what's going to happen. First choice backup centre-back, might I add. Right, let's move on to the other end of the pitch, ladies and gents, boys and girls. So look, there we have it. Christhian Mosquera is now a gunner, and he will hopefully feature this weekend against Nottingham Forest. Oh, what news! What news! What news! Absolutely exciting. Yembele, let's stick with you. Not only have we signed Victor Gyokeres, and obviously this seems like it's been the most frustrating but exciting stroke, annoying stroke, sort of pursuit that we've had for a striker. But after years, we've finally got a proper orthodox gunman. And I'll come to shirt numbers maybe to Wayne, because we haven't really asked Wayne's opinion on Mosquera getting 3 either, so we'll maybe have a double sort of tag there. But first of all, he's now, it's confirmed. He's signed his deal. He's in London, apparently. How excited are you, man? Just talk us through it again.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm waiting for this content, honestly. This content, Arsenal media team, if you're watching, this had better be some of the most elite content I have seen from you. And I'm not talking about a car park video. I do not want you to be filming in the car park. I want something big. This is a big transfer. Look, I know we will get hyped up and everything, but this is a big transfer. You're talking about a major goal scorer in a position, and obviously a position that we've lacked sorely in for years. And it needs that kind of gravitas for it, because it is your number 9. It's the man who is supposed to get you the goals that will get you to win games and to win titles. That's the attitude he's come with. By all accounts, he's literally said, I'm the man. And we'll talk about the shirt number and all that, but the mentality, what's been said is his mentality is next level. He believes in himself so much. He believes that he will be the man to deliver the Premier Leagues and the titles and to win games. I love the attitude. I love the mentality. I want that kind of mentality. I don't want bottlers in the team. I want someone who's saying to me, I believe in myself so much. I'm going to push myself harder and harder to enable myself to get to this level, because I think he understands, look, this is the next level. This is where the big boys come in. And if you are one of those, then you're going to show it. And he believes himself to do that. And that's what I want. I want that belief. I want the belief that when I'm on the pitch, I'm going to score a goal. Haaland, we will hate him, for what he does, but his attitude, he believes in himself so much that when he gets on the end of it, he will score a goal. He is the man. And I want that from my striker. And Victor Gyokeres, by all accounts, has that same thing. So I'm gassed about this. This is a major, major signing. I'm glad all the nonsense was done. I'm also glad about the fee, if what's been said is true, because considering the numbers that have been banded around for other strikers, I think we got it for a very, very good price. So credit to Andrea Berta again for negotiating from a position of strength and getting a decent deal for a very good player. So really excited. I'm looking forward to seeing him get on the tour. I want to see him play. I think the Newcastle game probably will not happen. I think, if anything, it'll probably be Tottenham for a couple of minutes, but I doubt it'll be even that much, because he hasn't really trained at all, has he, since the start of new season, because obviously he went on strike with Sporting. So my gut tells me it'll probably be Tottenham for a couple of minutes. Probably won't start it, but again, you won't need to do. You're going to see a lot of people giving the celebratory the celebrations that he does, because they've already done it in Singapore. It's now just a case of get the man there and let's see it in person. Because if he scores, oh my days, we're going to everyone's going to lose themselves, and it's going to be a sea of just that, isn't it?
Well, the celebration that he does is already being done by so many people, left, right, and centre. I mean, Miles Lewis-Skelly, we saw in that video, the academy players, there was a goal scored and they did that as a celebration. There's a guy who graduated today, Wayne, I shared that in the group chat, and the peasants like doing it as graduation ceremony, and Sanjeev Bhaskar, who used to be on Goodness Gracious Me, joining in weirdly. So like, this is going to take off. Wayne, in terms of shirt numbers, before we just talk about the player again, I mean, look, Mosquera number 3. What are your thoughts on that? Let's get your frustration out of the way on that.
There's no frustration with that one. Mosquera 3 is lovely. It's good. However, it did break my heart a little bit, because it's like, how dare you lay where he laid in terms of Kieran Tierney? How dare you put that shirt number on? Kieran Tierney's just left. Let me grieve for a day. How dare you pretend to be Kieran Tierney? But no, Mosquera 3, that's a very good one.
Okay, and let's talk about the Wayne one now. Thierry Henry, of course, legendary number 14. The shirt number has been passed about a fair bit, to be fair, since then, but I just felt this image was fantastic. And it goes back to my point about having finally an orthodox gunman and someone who I think is going to do this shirt number justice. How do you feel about him taking demanding the number 14, Wayne?
That's the big thing about it. Like, it comes when you sign with Arsenal. Look, I think for a lot of teams and a lot of countries, like, the number 10 is their biggest shirt. Probably for Man United, the number 7 is their biggest shirt. For Liverpool, like, the number 9 is probably their biggest shirt. Newcastle, the number 9 is their biggest shirt. When you think of us, it's 14, and it's because of that one man there. And the fact that comes with the biggest pressure on anyone's shoulders, regardless of who you are, regardless of how much you cost, it comes in with a huge amount of pressure. I want that. Give it to me. And I know that a lot of people don't care about shirt numbers and think that it doesn't really mean anything. They do, like, especially at a club where one is so iconic, like 14 is with us. So all credit to him, because look, the fee, and even though it's a good fee, you know what the sort of pundits and the media company, they're gonna play it up as, oh, there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders because of the fee. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders because he's our first natural out and out goal scorer for about 4 or 5 years. Gabriel Jesus came in, was brilliant as our number 9. He wasn't a natural number 9. Look at the amount of criticism, rightly so, for the majority of his time here, that someone like Lacazette got. We haven't signed a pure centre forward since that, really. Obviously, Aubameyang was a bit different because he played on the left hand side. But I think that, look, if he, like I've said before, if he replicates even 50% of what he done in Portugal, he's going to score us a bag load of goals. And I think it's just on us now to kind of tailor the way that we play to get suited for him. I'm really looking forward to him playing with someone like Martinelli, because Martinelli has struggled for the past sort of 12 to 18 months, but they like to operate in very sort of complementary areas. When the way that Gyokeres runs and the way that he likes to move, it should and could allow a Martinelli, when he's playing alongside him, to flourish and maybe get inside a little bit more. But yeah, I'm happy with him taking 14. Look, it wouldn't have been my choice. However, I will say this. If he takes 14 today and Gabriel Jesus is sold tomorrow and the number 9 becomes available, my fist is going through the table.
Well, listen, we'll come on to Gabriel Jesus in a minute, but I think this says a lot about this guy's facilities. I think this says a lot about this guy's mindset, attitude. He wants to come in. Maybe Thierry Henry was one of his idols. I don't know that Thierry often is for so many strikers in this generation. But I love the fact that he's desperate for that shirt number. He's craving that shirt number. He wants to do things in that shirt number. I absolutely cannot wait for it. So many people are absolutely gassed about the potential announcement. Nobody cared who I was until I put on the mask. AFC 123 getting excited there. Tom Hardy should be involved.
Do you know what? I was of that opinion, but I found out today he's a massive Spurs fan.
Who? Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, he
Tom
is.
Hardy.
Mate, it is what it is. We're not signing him. We just need his voice. Dobbo sent you a little video in the DMs that I might want to see, and I've just seen it, and I'm excited. I don't. Has he got
it?
Am I allowed to say?
No,
come back to me in the chat, man, because it's a very nice video. He said don't share, but what's he saying? If I
Dobbo, share it with me. Share it with me.
If I get any
Come
more,
on,
I'll
Dobbo.
send it on. It's the gunman at Colney as a video. It's fantastic. Right. What else is there? Wow, the chat's gone absolutely nuts. Value-wise, just very quickly, Donald is asking, with add-ons, is it 63 million? I mean, look, we're not accountants. Well, I'm a chartered accountant, but we're not the Arsenal accountant. Wayne, good value?
Well, we'll find out, because obviously Sporting Lisbon are...
Oh, sorry. I know we're going to find out depending on return, but like right now, before he's actually kicked a ball for Arsenal, are you content with the fact that we're paying £54 million plus various add-ons?
Yes, absolutely. When you think of some of the fees that some of the other strikers have been linked for, when you think about the potential of Newcastle having to pay 80 plus million for Seshko, and you consider the fact that they have to pay his agent. Obviously, we've kind of got away with that, with the fact that the agent was willing to make it work. The wages, I don't think are astronomical for Gyokeres. I think it fits within our budget, but I think it's a good deal. I think it's a really good deal. I think it doesn't come in as like our record obviously signing. It doesn't even come in sort of at and around the Pepe region, which came in with a lot of pressure. I would say for a striker in today's market, this is probably better than most. And when you think about Liverpool signing Ekitike for whatever 80, 90 odd million euros, whatever it was, when you include add-ons, this is a really, really good deal for a player that will probably get at least 4 good years out of. And at the end of the day, if he wins us one league, it's absolutely worth it. It will be interesting though, because obviously Sporting Lisbon are a public company. They have to announce all of their finances or whatever it is. They have to obviously show how much we're willing to pay for it. So it will be interesting when we find out what the exact total is.
Indeed. Mo K's gone early, says Gyokeres 14 home, Eze 10 away, Ødegaard 8 third shirt. I will be broke. Is there a better shirt combination than that? AFC 123 asks, can you all do the celebration at the start of the next Latte Firm show? We could. The only problem is, as I do the celebration, I've got no fingers to actually press the mouse to go live. That's the flipping problem. I've tried it with my elbow. Doesn't work. Last thing on this. That first goal that Victor Gyokeres scores is going to hit deep and hard, and it's going to get me all sorts of excited.
I think
there's a dodgy clip for you right there. But when this first question, as a grown man, the oldest of the three of us, when he scores, are you going to do this celebration back?
Yeah, what? Are you mad? How am I not going to go, yeah, boy? My fingers are already clenched. My fingers are already clenched, ready.
You know what? It's going to be so funny, right? We're going to watch Victor Gyokeres go through on goal, right? And we're all just going to be doing this. And then if he misses, just hands
you get
by our side. And
guys,
then when he scores,
guys, do you want to walk with me?
Oh God, here we go.
Oh God, another one of Wayne's journeys. Go on, take me on this journey with you, my friend.
Victor Gyokeres takes the number 14 shirt, like our king there. Goes to Old Trafford. Old Trafford against his former manager, the club that he rejected, the manager that made him who he was. On the King's birthday weekend. We play Man United. I'm pretty sure it's his birthday.
It is his birthday.
He'll be doing the celebration against his former manager, the team that he rejected, on the King's birthday in his shirt. Don't
get me excited.
I actually think that's quite likely. Actually, given that Man United's defense is absolutely shocking. I think there's a high degree, and given what they're going for at the moment, they've got no money now again because they've overspent.
Can you imagine, Wayne, that corner of Old Trafford, everyone doing that after the whistle as he walks over with the 3 points? The gun
as he dunks on Aiden Heaven.
Oh my God, you got me excited. I want to go on that journey with you. By the way, Germain says, where can I find that illustration? If you're talking about the image on the right-hand side, if you're on X, drop me a DM on Latte Firm and I will send it to you, my man. I nabbed it off. So in fact, no, it was in a WhatsApp chat group today. Ham says, winning us the 14th league title. Met asks, are we guys dressing as Bane at Old Trafford? I mean, I have the hair. I could put some fake sort of turf on at the front here and get the mask. Mate, I can't wait. Honestly, the first goal that he's going to score, and the first goal that he scores at the North Bank, Yembele. I'm telling you, man, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to stare at him.
In row one, you're going to go down to row one. You're going to run.
Oh my God,
running down like
the Xhaka days. Sprint down to row one. Oh mate, honestly, I can't.
The thing is, it's already iconic, isn't it? He's transcended. You know, like there's a few players that transcend. I know it's a celebration, but his goal celebration and the goal numbers, it's just insane what he's already done. Because even before his signing, you've had the fans in Singapore already doing this. It's a worldwide phenomenon. So everyone's ready. It's just that he's got to make it happen. I think he'll make it happen pretty soon. I think the preseason one will hit a little bit, but then when it goes to, when it's a full PL debut, he scores that first one at Old Trafford. I think that one may just take the roof off.
Mate, honestly, Jonathan Cage just taking it out of my mouth.
Yeah,
that is what this guy has. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, fabulous. Right, let's move on before I lose myself. Vivlad says the best Swedish striker in the league. You might just be the best striker in the Premier League. Let's be honest. Right, let's move on. Let's talk about another Swedish striker. We covered this on last night's show on the Daily Grind, and there was context to me covering this. Because obviously, if Liverpool do something mental here, that would be quite the window for them. And I guess that leaves me to kind of reflect, reevaluate what we've done. But before we do all that, how did you guys take this news yesterday? Alex Isak wants to leave Newcastle.
The timing is what concerns me a little bit. If he did it at the start of the window, I'd understand it completely, because then it makes logical sense. Teams have not decided on who their striker is and they haven't made bids. But teams have already made their striker signings. The ones who had openings, Liverpool, Arsenal, have done it already. Unless, as you said, Liverpool are prepared to go that extra mile and get him. But it's just the timing is a little odd. I mean, what has kicked it off? I know there's a bid from Al Hilal, and I've just messaged you that Al Hilal have just literally put their proposal to him of 600,000 a week, which is insane money. I mean, again, what has done it now? Is it just that the Liverpool bid was rejected? It just seems like if that was the case, then they wouldn't have gone to get Ekatike unless, and again, it's a distinct possibility that they will both end up at Liverpool, which is insane. It's a possibility. Liverpool do have financial headroom. but the timing of it is just what questions me. And it just feels like if I'm a betting man, and I'm not, he will sign a new deal at the wages he wants, stick it out for a year, and there's a clause in there somewhere to say, I will go next season for an amount. Not a gentleman's agreement, but an actual fixed amount. There'll be a clause there, because it just seems like the timing is just too. It doesn't fit for what he wants. If he wants to move to one of the big teams now, most of the avenues are closed. Saudi's available.
Here's my theory on the timing. I genuinely think that Alex Isak is quite happy at Newcastle. And I think he would have wanted to have stayed with them after winning the League Cup. And of course, they're back in the Champions League now. And I think he was probably expecting Newcastle and Eddie Howe to be busier than they have. Like, I know they've missed out on 6-7 players, which says quite a lot because other clubs have just offered more money or moved faster, whatever the reason is. Maybe he's got to a situation where he's thought, right, Arsenal, his boyhood club, boyhood idol, Thierry Henry, have been pursuing a striker since forever. They're about to sign his international counterpart. Liverpool have been on Isak's heels for ages. Obviously, lashed out with a signing in Hugo Ekitike. Newcastle were talking to them and they've just basically pipped them. And Newcastle have signed no one. And he's maybe just had some doubt thinking, right, I'm the main man here. I'm on £120,000 a week when you've got people like Erling Haaland earning £400,000 a week more. You've got people like Kai Havertz on more than double that. Alex Isak is perfectly entitled to say, Newcastle, I need more money. Like, I want to go. Ideally, I'd like to go to a bigger club and try and be more competitive at the right end of the table. But if I'm going to stay, I'm going to show my discontent. I'm not going to want to train. I don't want to be part of the sort of training camp unless you do something serious about my salary. Now, look, Al Hilal, the chat's gone wild. £600,000 a week, tax-free, might I add. I mean, that is just shy of £1 million a week equivalent in the UK. But the question is, does he want to go to Saudi? I'm not sure. Lots of people think that, he might also be Barca bound, Real Madrid bound if he stays on for another year. But the timing is just, it's really, really annoying. It's frustrating, actually, Wayne, because we've been so keen on this guy. I know the finances don't quite sort of add up for us. We've had a lot of things that we've had to do in the squad. In fact, let me bring that up on the next slide. This window, let's talk about Eze shortly, but this window, we've done some really good things, some really important things. So, Wayne, your first thoughts on the Isak story and whether, whether the timing has basically stopped us from getting him. And then I'm going to put a slightly different question to you about the window and you know what's coming.
I honestly think, and obviously it sucks as an Arsenal fan to think it out loud and to say it out loud, I think the timing is completely intentional by Isak and his camp. I think as much as we might want Isak, and we might have hoped in the past and previously that Isak would have wanted us, I think that the deal to potentially and the link to Liverpool has kind of taken everyone by surprise. I don't think anyone realistically thought it was a possibility. But I think he wants that opportunity. I think he sees what Liverpool are doing and thinks, all right, I want some of that. And I think he's waited for this particular moment because had he done it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and we hadn't signed Gyokeres or whatever, that allows a potential bidding war. And I don't think ourselves or Liverpool would really get into that. I think by doing it now, it kind of forces, if he is to leave, it kind of forces Newcastle's hand a little bit. Because if he doesn't go to Saudi, all he's got is Liverpool. There's no one else. And I think that's where he wants to go. Like I said, as much as it sucks as an Arsenal fan to just sit there and say, well, maybe he doesn't want us. I just think he prefers Liverpool and prefers that opportunity right now. So I think that the timing of it, and look, I know that we found out about it, yesterday or whatever it was. I highly doubt that he woke up yesterday morning, called Newcastle and said, you know what, I'm not coming. I want to leave. This has been going on in the background for weeks. I just think he prefers Liverpool at this stage. I think he wants Liverpool, and I think that they're in a better position to maybe make it happen. I don't think, looking at those summer signings, we were anywhere near in a position to sign Isak this summer and then do the rest of the stuff that we needed to do. If we signed Isak this summer, yes, I think we could probably still sign Mosquera. We could probably still sign Kepa, but we wouldn't have signed Madueke as a Saka backup or whatever you want to call it. And some Arsenal fans might have been okay with that, but we would have been going into another season without a Saka rotation. We wouldn't be in conversations to sign Eze or the left winger that we need. We still need a left winger, even by signing Gyokeres. We wouldn't, I don't think, in my opinion, have signed Zubimendi. I really doubt that we would have been able to sign both Zubimendi and Isak this summer, especially when you think about the amount that we would have to pay up front to Newcastle to make the Isak deal work. So when you think about all of that, and then you think about obviously the salary that he wants, he wouldn't be leaving for sort of anything less than 250k. All of the reports are saying 300k. I think that this summer, a lot of Arsenal fans were of the opinion we're only a striker away. We're not this summer. Last summer, we were only a striker away. If we got Isak for 150 million last summer, I think everyone would have been fine. We don't need anything else. But this summer, the squad needed a lot more refreshing. And then we also had two surprising departures, I'll say, in the summer that we didn't expect that we needed to replace. And I just don't think that all of that would have been feasible and signing Isak this summer, especially when right now we've done all of that and we still need one more.
Well, you've kind of answered Viggs's question from earlier on. It says, FK, genuine question. Is it really sensible to pay £150 million on one player who'll also be on that £300,000 a week? He's not really competed in Champions League consistently, has got a bit of an injury record, way too overpriced, he reckons. And to your point, Wayne, you know, we had some very important roles to fill in this squad over the summer. You know, that backup to Saka, we needed some more midfield steel, obviously with Thomas Partey going and Jorginho sort of moving on. We needed a bit of depth, bit of quality. Zubimendi's obviously a big upgrade. Norgard comes in and makes the numbers and sort of raises the floor. We've needed a striker for so long. And of course, you know, Isak is Isak. That is a marquee signing. There are plenty of Arsenal fans that would have said, right, do you know what? I'm very happy to forego Noni Madueke and Victor Gyokeres if it meant that we could just get Alex Isak. And I understand that. My question now to you both, before we, as Nasir says, discuss Eze, is if Liverpool go and do this, and I asked the question to Rory last night, really interesting chat. There's been a lot of social media sort of retweets and opinions on this all day today. If Liverpool, big if, and we're not a sensational channel, so I'm not here to scaremonger anyone, but I want to talk about it. It's important. If Liverpool do a madness and they somehow manage to get Isak in, as complimentary as we've been about our window, as we can see on screen here, chaps, and we might go on to get Eze. Let's assume we get Eze, those 7 players. Does it force you to look at the window and think, have we really narrowed the gap on Liverpool? Liverpool, let's not forget, current champions. They are the standard bearers. They are the team that we are trying to hunt down and surpass. And they've gone out and acted quickly in terms of a Trent Alexander-Arnold replacement in Frimpong. Robertson has been on his way out for some time, wrong end of his career. They've gone out and got Gyokeres, who's been brilliant last season. Florian Wirtz, obviously one of the most creative talents in world football at the moment. And, you know, as much as we hate to admit it, Alex Isak is an unbelievable player, like marquee signing of the highest quality. So if that were to happen, and it's a big if, it's a hypothetical, so just go with me, ladies and gents, boys and girls in the chat. Yeah. Does it force you to look back and think, maybe we've not, you know, we've taken 3 steps forward and sort of 2 steps back?
No, again, it as both you put it, you know, we had gaps in the squad, so we had to push ourselves a little bit more to get a squad capable. We failed last year, not because of our strike rate, but because of availability. We had no striker. Our defense fell apart. You know, multiple areas where we had issues, and we needed to round out the squad. Now, Liverpool, again, I think got very lucky with their injuries. They had a very good injury record. That's not guaranteed. We had that the season beforehand, you know, where we had a lot of, we were pretty good with our injuries, but one season, number of injuries, and you're already looking very different. I don't think we could change anything much. I don't think if we had done, you know, Isak and, as you said, a few others, I think we would have had a lot more problems. I think that's part of my concern, is that, as you said, the timing is just wrong. I just don't think we've had a chance to do this kind of transfer. I also think as well, the financials just don't add up for us. It's a lot of money. It would be a massive risk, I think, that we haven't got the capacity to take. I think very few clubs have. Even Liverpool, this is a massive one because they have clearly got defensive issues as well. They need another centre back. Now, does the Isak deal, if they go ahead with it, mean that they compromise on a good defender, or are they waiting for Mark Gahey maybe next year and they'll just supplement him with a lesser someone? Because Joe Gomez's record is pretty poor, and you've got Virgil van Dijk and obviously Konate, who they're still trying to sign, but it looks like Real Madrid are obviously in his head as well. So Liverpool are not by any means like perfect. They're going to have an insane attack if they get him. Let's not confuse that. But that doesn't guarantee you to win every game. I mean, Isak's record is not amazing. Injury record is not great. And, who knows what the Premier League season brings. We have to focus on ourselves. We've got a set parameters that we can work within, and we've done that. I think for what we have and what our financial capabilities are, I think we've done pretty well. I think Andrea Berta has done some really good work. Sales are obviously where we can make up some of the deficit, and maybe we could have had that power. But we don't have the saleable assets like Liverpool do. If they're looking at 80 million for Luis Diaz, potentially another 80 million for Darwin Nunez, we're not even close to that. So we need to be better in that regard, and maybe down the line we could get to the next big striker or the next big person to come in. But at the moment, we're not at that point, I feel, unfortunately.
I'm going to come back to you on the selling point, because I think it's much easier to sell when you're Liverpool, because this is going to come across as awful, but my intention is right. When you are a club like Arsenal in London, you are obviously in one of the greatest cities in the world, right? And Sam Dean talked about this on the Daily Grind just a few days ago, where he said it's difficult for Arsenal to sell players, to move players on, because Arsenal is such a great club. Players are obviously on a good salary. They live in one of the best cities in the world. Whereas when you're at Liverpool, you're playing for a great club. Let's put the banter aside for a minute. But there are many more glamorous cities that you would want to take your family to, that you'd want to relocate to. So forgive me if I've offended anybody, but I think there is a real pull to want to move away from Liverpool and go to one of the big shining sort of cities in world football. Whereas at Arsenal, I mean, Sam Dean used Zinchenko as an example. Zinchenko's in London. His family is settled. It's not just the player, remember? It's the family, it's the wife, it's the kids, it's the parents. Kids are settled at good schools in London. He's probably loving the London life. It's really difficult to kind of move that on. Wayne, before I come to you, just a couple of messages here. Reggie Perry, thank you so much for your generous contribution to the channel. It goes a very long way, and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you. Says, we can beat Liverpool even with Isak. We beat Real Madrid with Mbappe. Liverpool couldn't beat us, heads up. And we were literally half a team. There are quite a few of you in the chat that are sort of backing this idea of, actually, even if Liverpool go and get Isak, what Arteta and Berta are doing with the squad and the needs and the things that you see on screen, and if we can get Eze over the line, it's a big if, but a hopeful if, then actually, we can go punch for punch. Aaron, also, thank you again for your very generous donation to the channel. Very, very much appreciated. It goes towards the running costs, so I'm very grateful. It says, the signings so far look great and well balanced, but even though it's just one pre-season game, it's already clear that our left-wing issue is more significant than we might have hoped. Now, hopefully, we'll come on to the Eze discussion shortly, Aaron. Hopefully, that is going to go some way to solving that. But I've talked about it before. I think Zubimendi and now a proper settled left-back in Miles Lewis-Skelly will hopefully get the better of, or we'll see us get the better of Martinelli and Trossard on that left-hand side. Thank you both for your contributions to the channel. Wayne, the question to you is, and I think someone said it just a short moment ago, and I think I've lost the, here we go, Vlad. The question was, do we need to, does it cause us to reevaluate? And Vlad says, absolutely it does. They were already slightly better than us, and they've improved further. It does make our window feel a little less convincing. Do you buy that, Wayne?
A little less convincing, no. I just think it's green with envy. And one thing that like a phrase that my granddad kind of taught me when I was growing up is, if you always look at your neighbour's garden, you'll never be happy with your own. And
I like that.
if you are always looking at what we've done it in the past with Man United. Oh, Man United re-signed Cristiano Ronaldo. We couldn't even sign a striker. We've done it in the past, even with Newcastle, when they signed the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and stuff like that. When Tonali first went, we've looked at rivals, or we've looked at opposition. We've looked at teams in the league and thought, oh yeah, their summer's better than ours, and we've ended up coming out on top of them. Now, obviously, look, with Liverpool, it's completely different because they're defending champions at the moment. But like Yem said, they could sign Isak. They're still a centre-back short, and you saw that they wanted a centre-back. They've been linked with Mark Gahey from Crystal Palace ever since the start of the window. They want a centre-back. They don't even know if Konate is willing to stay with them long-term. And they are one Virgil van Dijk injury away from disaster. And I think that when it comes to Liverpool, they could sign Isak. Yes, they would have improved, but we just have to look at ourselves. We needed to improve. And unfortunately, this summer, we needed to improve in too many areas for us to be in that conversation with Isak. And I think that when you compare it against Liverpool, you're not comparing it window for window. You're comparing it name for name. And we've not signed anyone as big name and as shiny toy as Alex Isak. But they've not signed in all of the positions of need. And yes, they might sign Isak, they've signed Verts, they've signed XTK, whatever it might be. They're potentially losing, for many, many different and obviously very sad reasons, they're potentially losing 3 attackers from a title-winning team last season. And all 3 of them at one stage or another contributed to that season in sort of big ways. And yeah, Isak has got the quality to cover up a lot of the deficiencies, but they're not necessarily going to be as deep as they were. If when Salah goes off to African Cup of Nations, right now, their backup right winger is probably Harvey Elliott. Cody Gakpo can do a job out there on that right-hand side, but if he's coming in and playing on the left-hand side, we don't know how Verts is going to adapt to the Premier League. He's a quality player. We don't even know if he's going to play at left wing. He might be playing as a 10. He might be playing in the midfield. Slot usually like sort of a 4-4-2 or 4-2-2, whatever you want to call it. They might have some struggles getting used to that system. They've signed Frimpong and Gyokeres. Those are 2 very attacking fullbacks. And they've got recovery speed, but they're not the best defensively. So at times they're going to come under pressure and sort of be concerned there. So I think that Arsenal fans are looking at it envious because if they do sign Isak was ours. Like, he was our baby. He was our baby striker. He was our number 14. He was the guy that we all sort of truly loved. And we thought if he was to ever leave Newcastle, he was going to come to us. So we're looking at it with envy that Liverpool have got it done. But that doesn't take away from the summer that we've had, because all of these signings that you can see, for one reason or another, we needed them all. We needed them all, and we're not even done yet because we still need a left winger. Like, we've done very good up to this point, but it doesn't mean anything if we don't sign a left winger.
I hear you. Look, we're going to come on to Eze. All I'm going to say on this closing thought, and I think I'll stick by it, even though you guys both make excellent points and I see it. I think for all the good stuff that we've done this window, it's really promising. And listen, I've been saying it from the start of the window. I understood the reason why we signed Kepa. People were so annoyed, for another Chelsea player. Look, we've brought in a really good, capable deputy that's going to be permanent for at least the next 2-3 years, so Arteta doesn't have to dick about with any sort of lone goalkeepers. Noni Madueke, not everyone's cup of tea, but I understand it. Bukayo Saka's sort of, understudy, can play on that left-hand side, carries the ball, shoots on sight, 2 big qualities that we've absolutely missed. Zubimendi, the volume dial that he is going to control. He's going to be the metronome from that central midfield position, and losing Partey and Jorginho and Elneny. We've needed depth. Christian Norgard coming in with his experience and his leadership skills and his tactical nous, the Premier League sort of readiness. I understand all of these moves. Victor Gyokeres, you guys will know. I've loved this guy for like a year. He was my gunman. He was my number 1 target. I did have a bit of a 180 when everyone started talking about Šeško and the project and his physical attributes and his ceiling being yada, 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 right? But for me, Gyokeres is the one. I'm delighted with him. And Christhian Mosquera, as we've just spent the first 45 minutes of tonight's show, deep dive into his, defensive capabilities. Like, these are really exciting things. But the very purpose of a transfer window is not only to address the gaps in your squad, but it is also to try and narrow the gap on the teams or team, in our case, that you're trying to chase. And Liverpool, who are current champions, they got very fortunate last year by having lots of their key men. They had injuries, but their key men survived the entire season. That may not happen again. And I completely understand, like, beyond Gravenberch, there's not much. What is it? Endo? Nioni? Behind Van Dijk and Kanate, what is it? Joe Gomez? I think they've sold Quanta. So it is a big gamble for them to just go with their two fullbacks, go with Florian Wirtz and Ekitike with potentially Isak. But I think Isak is such a needle mover. And I think he adds, I know, obviously, tragic circumstances, Diogo Jota. If they move on Darwin Nunez and they move on Luis Diaz, you're right, Wayne. That's 3 players of a title-winning squad from last season. But I think Isak, in particular, is just that good that it makes a big difference. And it makes me think, as much, I couldn't have asked for more than these 7 signings that we see on screen, but it does make me think, like, as much progress as we made, Liverpool have just taken a leap, and it feels like we're sort of catching up again. Let's talk about Eze, but before we do that, Aaron's come back to me. Again, another donation from Aaron. Very, very grateful for that, man. Thank you. Says also, sorry, FK, I'm not buying that excuse when I was talking about sort of selling players. If these players were at Chelsea, they'd be selling them for at least £20 million each.
Yeah, because we would be signing them. It would be us.
Did you hear Raheem Sterling's been offered to Arsenal again?
No, he's been offered to Napoli.
Yeah, Napoli, Fulham. Yeah, Fulham, Napoli, and
20 million. Which
back to Arsenal
is going to do that?
But listen. Just on Aaron's point, he makes a really salient point because Chelsea have been stockpiling players for the longest time, and they stockpile Europe's top young sort of talent, and they have so many good players on loan in so many different leagues and so many different sort of holding companies and whatnot that they have a certain premium. And they are getting away with it. And it was galling, Aaron, for me as a fan to make these sorts of shows and try and sort of justify that. We just spent 48 million quid on Noni Madueke plus add-ons. Like, I'm trying to see the goodness in it. But you're right. I found it really frustrating and really quite annoying that we've helped Chelsea, who look like they're going to go and get Xavi Simons, who look like they're going to make a move for Jarell Hato. They've obviously brought in quite a few players already this summer. I mean, I'm just going to reel off the names. Jamie Gittins, Joao Pedro, Liam Delap, Estevao, Dario Esugo, Mamadou Sarr, and of course those two, Xavi Simons and Jarell Hato. Like, it feels every penny we give them supports them, so it's really frustrating.
I think the major difference is the salaries. Like, the players that Chelsea would potentially be selling for the most part are all sort of in the Madueke range of like the 40s, 50, 60,000 per week. Like, I don't think any of these young players that they're selling for the 20 millions are anywhere near on what Trossard is on, for example, which is about 100 to 120k per week. I think that that's a big, big difference. That if these players are going to leave Arsenal, they're not going to leave for a pay cut, and there aren't very many teams that are going to be willing to pay the extra salary on top of whatever we want. It's a big reason why I imagine Zinchenko probably won't leave. Trossard may not leave because, unless they go into Saudi, there aren't very many clubs in Europe going to be willing to pay the transfer fee and the salary.
Even Reece Nelson. Reece Nelson's on decent money as well, isn't he?
100 grand a week.
Yeah, that's another reason why he's going for loan, isn't it? That's
a touch more than Noni Madueke. It's mental. The GOAT is in the house, hand of Arsenal, who's been watching discreetly, like a ninja, like he always does. He was sending some love a few moments ago. Says Andrea Berta has done a phenomenal job with the budget that's been given to him. It is undeniable. And listen, there are maybe 1 or 2 more exits, and maybe 1 more incoming to do. And that's where we're going to finish this slide before we talk about Gabriel Jesus and, of course, our preseason fixture on Sunday. Eberechi Eze, what more is there to say? Interest is real. Arteta is obsessed, according to our very own hand of Arsenal. Playing for Crystal Palace tonight, they're trying really hard to promote the Eze sort of propaganda on their timeline. Chaps, is this something, I mean, we've talked about how much we all sort of love him and would want him, but is this something you think Arsenal are going to get over the line over the next few days, weeks?
I'm not sure it will happen.
No, neither of you are optimistic. No, why? Tell me. Oh, Wayne, tell me why.
I think it might rely. I know that a lot of reports are saying it doesn't rely on players leaving. I think it might rely on at least one leaving, and I'm not sure we're gonna get. We might get Reece Nelson out on loan, but I can't really see many others leaving for a decent amount that makes it worthwhile. If it does happen, I think it will be like a deadline day thing. But I really, really hope we get him. Like, he is just such an Arsenal player.
But you don't think it's going to happen? Yembele, your thoughts?
I'm like Wayne. I think it needs a sale because I don't think we can do what Liverpool are doing in that they're betting on the potential value because obviously the interest is real. I don't think we've got enough interest there. I think we've had inquiries, but nothing is like firmed up enough to say we're going to offer you 30 million. We're going to do this for Trossard, etc. And I don't think without those guarantees you can really go anywhere with an Eze. You can agree terms and you can say, look, we want you and all this. He's not going to put up a stink either. And by all accounts, Palace want close to their release clause. 68 million all in. I think they want that. It just doesn't feel like it's obtainable at the moment in terms of the facts, the figures, what we've spent, and just our operating model. It's going to need a massive massive amount of outgoings, the wages as well. I mean, that's maybe why the story about what the next player we're going to talk about has come around, because we're trying to find what opportunities to move players on and try and free up wages.
Well, the main man has just spoken again. As recent as last week, Eze is desperate to come. I assure you, he says, praying we get him. Sales are the key. There you have it, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Those of you that aren't on socials, that don't follow Hand of Arsenal, he has been on the money throughout the entire summer. And he shares so many nuggets with us chaps in the group chats, but he's been sure all along. The interest is real. Arteta is obsessed. Eze absolutely wants to come. There is unfinished business for Eberechi Eze. I've just put it in the chat. How many of you guys think Eze will be done before the end of the window? I'll say one thing, Yem, just before you come in. We wanted Joan Garcia, and we were willing to spend 25 million quid on him, and we bought Kepa for 5. We wanted to buy Dean Howson. We were willing to spend 40, 50, 60 million pounds on that boy, ended up getting Christian Mosquera. We've obviously released lots of wages in terms of the players that are sort of, contracts have been terminated. Christian Norgard, he's coming at a very modest 15 million quid, raises the floor of the midfield option. Zubimendi we've known about for the longest time. Madueke was an opportunity signing, got him for 52 million pounds. And bear in mind amortization as well, which we won't go into the detail of. I just have the feeling, even though it says, as per Sky Sports on screen, 200 million pounds once the Gyokeres deal goes through. That is the value of all the fees of all the players that we've signed this window. But that doesn't mean that that's what we pay and that's what's shown. It doesn't mean that's what we pay, but it doesn't mean that's what's shown in the books. And I just feel there could be leverage for Eberechi Eze before the window closes. And this is a story that's come out today. Yeah, you've just sort of led us into this conversation. I mean, the guy's injured. But again, according to Hand of Arsenal, Andrea Berta, working his magic, has offered Gabriel Jesus out to potential suitors. What do you make of this, Yem?
I think it's a good move to try it, because I think the problem is not trying to get a transfer fee for this one. It's trying to get the wages off the books, as we just said. It's trying to ensure that there's headroom to get an Eze and to have the finances from, obviously recovered wages for transfer fees, etc. Whether it's going to happen is another question, because again, as you said, he's out till October. He's out till January, actually, isn't he? He's still on quite a long-term injury. I think the key, as Hand of Arsenal just said, outgoings are key for this one, and I just don't see anything concrete at the moment, as Fabrizio Romano puts it, to give me the confidence to say this will happen. Maybe at the end of the window, we may just say, look, Eze, we're trying to get a few players out the window, because if you look at it, we've got some dead weight in there. You've got Fabio Vieira, unlikely to play. Sabri Lokonga, unlikely to play, really. Zinchenko, as you said, that one's not going to happen. But there are assets there to sell, but how much are you going to get for them? No one is really grabbing me as someone who, apart from Trossard, unless that will get 20 million plus, etc. That's the big issue that I see here. So you have to look at the Gabriel Jesus's, those areas of drainage on the balance books, and he is, unfortunately, he's a fabulous player when he was at the peak, but he is a drain on the wages now, just like unfortunately Takahiro Tomiyasu was. That he's had a double ACL. Is he going to come back at the top of the Premier League and be what he was? I can't see it on a double ACL. One ACL is tragic enough.
Well, he's due back in October. And so for the club to be offering him out to potential clubs that would be interested in Gabby Jesus, maybe clubs back home in Brazil, if Andrea Berta manages to pull this one off, he's going to be sensational. Wayne, I want to come to your thoughts on Gabby Jesus and potential outgoings before we talk about Sunday's fixture against Newcastle. But before we do that, the poll results are in. I asked those of you who are watching, just shy of 700 of you watching live right now on YouTube, do you think we'll sign Eze before the end of the window? 76% have said yes, and I wonder if they were swayed by the fact that Hand of Arsenal was in the chat, just sort of saying he wants to come. I assure you,
he's got that. He's got that kind of pull.
He's got that influence, hasn't he? He's got that. He's got the aura.
He literally could have put any symbol. He could have put even a symbol, just like a couple of like coded symbols, and they'd be like, "That's it. He's coming."
Got the aura. I love it. But Wayne, Gabby Jesus, look, he needs to go, says Tamba Jamissa. But look, this is a guy who's supremely talented. We know this, but he is plagued with injury. You know, I just wonder. I mean, Tamba's come in also and just said, "Look, terminate his contract," just like we did with Takahiro Tomiyasu. We wouldn't obviously get a fee for him. That would be the frustration. But he is on more than £250,000 a week. One of our highest paid players, Wayne.
Yeah, the difference with Tomiyasu, though, Tomiyasu only had a year left. I'm pretty sure Jesus has got at least 2, maybe 3.
No, he's got a year left. He's got a year left off. Yeah, he's got 2 actually. Yeah, 2.
He's got 2 years. So if we're terminating his contract, that is a big chunk to pay out, and especially if you're terminating him for 200, like double Tomiyasu's salary. And I imagine we wouldn't have even paid Tomiyasu's salary in full if that was like a mutual thing to let him go. Jesus is not giving up 2 years worth of 250k a week to terminate the contract. Like, it's just not happening. It would make me really sad to lose Jesus. But
would it really?
Yeah, it would, because we've seen his talent, and he changed he changed the club for the better when he first came in.
Are you not frustrated, Wayne, about his lack of availability and the fact that you just can't get a consistent run out of him?
Absolutely, which is why it would be the right time for it to happen. But still, like Tierney, when he left, it made me sad. But it was the right time for Tierney to go. Similar to Tomiyasu, it made Arsenal fans sad that Tomiyasu left, but it was the right time for him to go. I don't think Jesus, with those knee injuries, is ever going to be like a Premier League winning sort of caliber player anymore. I just don't think the injuries will allow him to do that. And I think in a World Cup year where he probably could still get into that Brazil team, even though he's coming back in January, like there's not like a bunch of quality in that Brazil squad. Like, he's more than good enough to go to the World Cup. If he goes to Brazil and has a good bunch of performances for wherever, like, you could see him getting in the squad, and that might be at the forefront of his mind. Whereas now, if he comes back and is fit for us, where does he fit in? Like, maybe left wing, maybe right wing. He's not ahead of Gyokeres. He's not ahead of Havertz. He's not ahead of Saka. If we sign Eze, he's not ahead of Eze. Maybe that's on his mind, but I think it will be a tough sell. It will be tough to get anyone to sign him this summer and take on the majority or all of his wages. Like, that will be really tough.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what Andrea Berta can do. We will have to wait and see. Demsek says Jesus and Zinni are now no longer needed. Job done. That is the ruthless attitude that I guess we should be looking to adopt. You know, players come in, they do a job, and sometimes the club just outgrows them, or the club's direction of travel is beyond their expectations and the return that we can get from these players. Keenan says we allow these guys to play 15 minutes on an injury and then they end up permanently injured. I mean, look, it's bad luck for players to get injured, but with Gabby Jesus, you know, one of the most expensive players in the squad, you'd expect a better return. And of course, injuries are not his doing, of course, but it is frustrating nonetheless. I think we will leave the transfer talk there. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Trossard and Martinelli. But as Hand of Arsenal has just said, look, in Andrea, I trust. I think we understand that Hand of Arsenal has been a devout sort of supporter of our new sporting director. He's done a great job this summer. Well, both chaps have done a great job this summer. Let's look ahead to Sunday as we start to wrap up the show. It's been a long one tonight. Newcastle United up next, and I want to get your thoughts, some key highlights from what you saw against AC Milan. But Newcastle, of course, their pre-season started a little bit earlier than this. They started a couple of weeks ago. On July the 12th, they beat Carlisle 4-0 at St James's Park, and then, of course, last week went up to Celtic and got battered 4-0. And now, obviously, the Alex Isak stuff has come out. So heads are gone. He's not there with the squad. They've not really signed anyone apart from Anthony Elanga. Let's talk about what we're going to expect on Sunday later to really end the show. I don't know if you guys caught this first friendly. It's another trophy for Mikel. What did you make of the win? Any sort of key takeaways? Keep it brief, but just your sort of top 2-3 points. Wayne, you go first.
2-3 points. It was good to see Ben White back, and that relationship with Saka was top draw. Some of his passing, like that through ball to Saka for the cutback, I thought was really, really good. Kai Havertz is massive. He's literally physically massive. That was my second point. And my third point is I don't think I've seen, and look, I don't go around watching 15-year-olds very often, but I don't think I've seen a 15-year-old as talented as Max Dowman ever. And the way he came off the bench in that second half and played with confidence and looked so talented on the ball, it was just, it was brilliant to see. So those were my three big takeaways. Ben White, great to have him back. Kai Havertz is huge, and Max Dowman is really, really legit.
Rob, I heard that too. I'm going to rip Wayne for that. Don't worry. Yembele, your key takeaways from the Milan game.
I'll do something a little bit different from Wayne because obviously he's talked about some of the big main points. But Marley Salmon, really good debut from him. I thought it was really nice. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. Hopefully,
the kid's a giant. He's 15 and he's like 6 foot plus. He's massive.
The Haaland is doing it again. Do you know what? We've brought through a load of midfielders, but if we're bringing through a defender, that's classic Arsenal. Mr. Tony, the Tony Adams of these worlds, etc. I would love it if we had a homegrown, defender in the squad. Some of the concern here, left wing is definitely still a concern for me. I don't think we're getting any purchase out of that particularly. I think, unfortunately, Martinelli still struggles as a touchline winger. He's an inside forward for me, and he's being asked to play as a touchline winger. It's not happening. I also do think, and this is maybe hopefully going to be remedied, although I don't know if it's going to be done straight away with Gyokeres signing, but we are still struggling to get the ball into our forward line quick enough in terms of the Havertz really didn't have much in terms of opportunities or run-throughs, headers, etc. We're still one of the things I'm seeing is this whole cross it and hope kind of playing that we're still doing in the final third, which we cannot have. We should be better going forward. It's still very Saka-centric. Get to Saka and see what he can do. We need to be a bit more varied. But again, the left side is very much the problem area. And I think, from the last point talking about Eze, we it may not happen, but we do need to address it pretty quickly because it was such a big problem for us last season. We either change how we play or we change the personnel. Because the best player who came on was Reece Nelson in that position, and he is a touchline winger. But Reece Nelson is not staying at Arsenal, and we know that. Sure, we know that pretty much.
Well, my takes on the game, I mean, you've mentioned a few of them, so I won't repeat, but Zubimendi was a monster in midfield. I mean, it's just pre-season, it's just his first game, and it was just second half cameo, but wow, what a player we have on our hands. He only made a backwards pass 3 times. Everything he looks to do, forward, break the lines, release the ball quick, plays with both feet. He's so composed. The game is, a pass ahead in his head. Do you know what I mean? And then he sort of executes on the pitch. Massively exciting to see what Martin Zubimendi is going to do for Arsenal this season. Really, really exciting. Harj says Zubimendi looked absolutely class. Demsek also saying Zubi always looked for the forward pass, which is great. And I've just seen something here about how he might set Martinelli free this season. He can't play against a low block, but in transition with Victor Gyokeres, he will be devastating. In fact, I did a piece. It's on the Daily Grind channel feed, guys, if you're interested. Pythag in Boots, who's recently featured on the BBC, actually, if you guys have been watching that. He came and did a tactical masterclass on what Arteta and what Arsenal might do next season to get the best out of Victor Gyokeres, Noni Madueke, and Martinelli in the transition, and how we like to sit in front of the opposition team outside their own box. We're going to have to almost lure them to have the ball and to come onto us so that we can get teams in transition, so that it'll be very unpredictable. And there's some really good tactical sort of graphics in that show if you've not caught it already. But yeah, Zubimendi was fantastic. Ben White, I mean, so good to see him back in the team. The other thing that I liked, and it's not really down to any individuals, chaps, but if you noticed, we were taking a lot more shots. Like, we had 19, 20 shots on goal, 9, 10 shots on target. It's not often that we do that or did that last season. And like, I remember the Leo Trossard shot right at the death, but we were taking shots from outside the box. And I wonder if that's a deliberate instruction, or maybe the threat of Madueke and Gyokeres coming into the team for one or two players to buck their ideas up. But it was a good game, good game, good win, 1-0, trophy, blah, blah, blah. Newcastle coming up on Sunday. There is a bit of blood between these two teams. I feel a little bit nervy about going ahead with this game, but it is something that has been obviously fixed. It's July the 27th, so it is taking place on Sunday at the Singapore National Stadium. Kickoff is 12:30 p.m. And do you know how many times I get asked this question, chaps? 11 asked earlier. Can we get a Latte Firm live watch-along stream versus Newcastle on Sunday? I don't even know if that sort of thing would appeal to those of you, the guys who watch. It has crossed my mind. I mean, it's a pre-season friendly. Maybe we do something for members and Patreon members. I don't know. We haven't got YouTube subs open just yet. I am in the process of registering for that with YouTube, but these things take time. Gents, Newcastle, are you excited? Are you a little bit nervous? Do you care? What are your thoughts?
Nervous. Definitely nervous, because I don't know. Newcastle, as you said, are further ahead in their pre-season, and it's always a bit of needle between us, but it's actually good experience for Zubimendi, or these players, if Gyokeres does sign by then, just to the blood and thunder. If Newcastle do go full tilt, then it's good for Zubimendi to understand what the shock is, because this is the kind of game we're going to need him to be at his best for. Because last season Newcastle were the problem for us. Their mid-block, we struggled against it quite often, and obviously the only problem is Alexander Isak is not there. It's not very representative of what we would face.
Is that a problem?
No, but as in for us, generally the problem, as in
he is a problem for us. I'd rather not play him.
He is, but he could be there this season. Then we were like, oh, we've beaten Newcastle pre-season, we should be good for it, and then Isak pops up and just absolutely decimates us. It could be, if he stays, but. Yeah, I'm interested to see how we approach this game, given that it's the second game we're ramping up. It's Newcastle's fourth game by the looks of it, but they're not used to the Singapore heat yet. They haven't played a game in the Singapore heat. We have, obviously. So it's interesting. And obviously, as you said, they are in freefall. It's a bit concerning, actually, how much Newcastle are, given their ownership, that they're not really going out there and signing what they need to do.
I have to say, just on this, I've been thinking about this for a while. Newcastle United, they are one of the wealthiest clubs in the world, obviously with the Saudi sort of link. But what they cannot benefit from is that Chelsea, for whatever, for years have been stockpiling talent. Newcastle only came into this wealth, and they came into it at a time when these rules were being set. The PSR rules came in, but Chelsea had already got 50, 55, 60 players on their books, right? They got 20, 30 players out on loan. So they had a sort of standing head start. Newcastle haven't got that depth to sell, so they can't do crazy things with their accounting to try and beat PSR. So I'm not going to say I feel sorry for them, but like if it was us and we'd had investors, I mean, the Cronkies are rich, but they've always said, look, self-sustainable, not going to invest. They made it clear. But Newcastle want to spend. They want to go nuts in the transfer market, but they can't. So I kind of feel sorry for them. But yeah, look, can't say
FMFK. You're mad about feel sorry for them.
No. As in, no. You misunderstand my point, Wayne. If we were Newcastle fans and we were talking on the channel about how frustrated the window is, like I can understand why they're frustrated. The fans don't have any say in this.
They can absolutely be frustrated. I'm loving every single minute of it. I know that we haven't signed Isak and he might go to Liverpool, but that's a price I'm willing to pay for the embarrassment that the Newcastle fan base are having this summer.
Ooh,
You see what happened with James Trafford? That's embarrassing. Yeah. They've been rejected by Mbeumo. They've been rejected by Guehi. They've been rejected by someone else. I hope they get rejected by Sesko, even if they do sell Isak. I love it. Their fans want you to talk big. You can't do anything when you're not a big club. And the best thing I saw on social media today, forget the Gyokeres private airplane, forget him landing in London, forget all of that. The best video I saw on social media today, I don't know if either of you have seen it, outside the stadium, there was two kiosks. You know, a bit like the Emirates Stadium, they've got like the merchandise stands outside. They've got it like outside every single sort of sports arena. There was a queue going around Singapore for the Arsenal kiosk. And then the camera slowly pans to the left and looks at the Newcastle one. And there's no one there. I don't even think there's an employee behind the till. And that just sums them up. It just and their fan base are the loudest. Their fan base are the loudest. I love it. I love it.
Thing is that
I love it. I would love it.
Newcastle's fan base is in Newcastle, is in the northeast. That's all it is. Very rarely do you see anyone outside of it, do you?
Exactly. That Singapore Stadium's got to be all red, and it's not because of their flag. It's just going to be our shirts.
And the red seats, because we didn't fill it either, to be fair, against Milan, but there we are. Right, listen, lads, we're going to leave it there. What a great show. What a great show. I've really enjoyed that. Thank you to everybody who's been tuning in tonight. Still well over 500 of you watching live on a Friday night. It's just gone midnight in the UK, and you're still here. I really appreciate every single one of you. If you want to support the channel on Patreon, there's been a number of new joiners over the last couple of weeks. We're growing a really nice community there, all in time for the start of the new season. There'll be a ticket giveaways and regular sort of shirt giveaways and whatnot throughout the season, and fantasy football will be starting live again as well. Met stayed for the entire duration. So smashed
it. He fell asleep halfway through and then woke up at the end.
How's his Twitter picture? How's his Twitter picture and his YouTube picture so different?
Do you know what? Like, he actually looks really handsome. What's going on, Matt? Is that it's Photoshop, isn't it?
It's Photoshop.
It's AI. It's because he's made in his Twitter picture. He's smiling. In his Twitter picture, he's actually smiling. He's not allowed to smile.
He's not allowed to smile.
There we are. I hope you guys are enjoying. I mean, look, the comments are so kind. I hope you guys are enjoying them, enjoying the content throughout the sort of pre-season. Undecided what the schedule is going to look like in the new season, but we'll figure something out. Daily grinds, whether they'll continue match reaction videos. The live watch along has been suggested by 1111. The post match phone ins. Got a lot to think about, but really appreciate all the love. If you want to follow either of these two chaps, they're available at Verge59 for Yembele on socials. Also, co-host and owner of Red Lines and Half Spaces. New episode out this weekend. Who's on?
We're going to try and do one. It won't be with a guest this week. It'll probably be just me and Joe as usual. But we'll see what we can do. Obviously, if Gyokeres is confirmed, then obviously we do a special maybe just to talk about our new striker, our new gunman. Maybe in the Bane style throughout the whole thing. We'll just all ad lib our voices to be. It'll be just Bane talking effectively throughout the whole thing.
Do it. Khan says, big up, guys. Number 14 is incoming. Thank you, Arsenal Granny, for watching as well. And Wayne, if anybody wants to follow him, he's available at Wayne'sWorld20_. Co-host of the excellent Can You Believe It podcast, which has just been recorded, a new episode with our good friend Metro, who says this is actually his professional work headshot. So basically, it's an AI thing to make him look very different, very polite, very courteous, very well mannered.
You can relate to that. You and your headshots can relate to that.
Oh
I tell you what, I realized how terrible my phone is, the iPhone 10. A friend of mine, ladies and gents, those that are watching, took a photo of me on an iPhone 15, 16, and it came out immaculate. Wayne, what's happening? What have you just recorded on Can You Believe It?
We recorded the review of the AC Milan game, talked a little bit about Isak, some transfer stuff, and if you liked my little laughter at Newcastle, I did it there for 45 minutes, so go and enjoy it.
Well, do go and enjoy it because they are fine podcasts indeed. And talking of podcasts, you can get these also as audio downloads on Spotify and Apple. We're coming up to 1 million plays on Spotify and Apple, which is amazing. Please do leave Latte Firm a very generous rating as well. Right. Enjoy your weekends. Newcastle on Sunday. Let's look forward to that. I'm not sure what's happening tomorrow in terms of daily grind. Laura Kirk is going to be on at some point this weekend. V Vlad says iPhone 10 FK. Wenger was still in charge when that was released. He probably was. In fact, I'm going to look that up. I'm sure he was. That's my one. I'm clutching on to one sort of part of the Arsene Wenger era. We'll leave it there. Look after yourselves. Take care. Good night. Sleep well. Bye for now.